Are you going to bring when he comes up?
37.
How many? Welcome to the September. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Egan. Here. Caputa.
Here.
Shildroth. Hanky. Here. Pagano. Here. Parson. Siam. Harris. Jones.
Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes. Are there any corrections, additions to the meeting minutes, executive meeting minutes of August 27th, 2018, and work session minutes of August 21st, 2018? Hearing none. Councilman Harris moves to approve the minutes, second by Councilman Siam. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is hearing from citizens. This is the time to speak to the council of any issues not necessarily on the agenda for your 3 minutes. This is not a question and answer period. If you would like to speak to a council member or the mayor, please stay until after the meeting is over. If you're here to speak on any public hearing, please wait and speak when the public hearing is announced. Don Adams. Don, could you please state your name, address?
My name is Don Adams.
For the record, sir.
My name is Don Adams, for the record. All my information is on the card. That's acceptable. And I'm here to talk about 3 things. The first thing is communicating, and that involves the fact you folks all come to these meetings twice a month. You have meetings here. I assume you have other meetings. But yet the citizens never hear anything back from stuff that goes on or questions that are asked. Now, the majority of yous, I assume, work. Thank God I have a councilman who I can aggravate whenever I want. And he is pretty good about getting back to me when I ask him a question. It might take him a while to get the answer, and sometimes he might not give me the answer I want to hear, but he gives me an answer, which is good, okay? But I feel communication needs to be more involved from this council with the people. If people can take the time to come to these meetings, then people, when they're asked a question, ought to be able to hear results back. That's the first thing, okay? The second thing is, I believe when Ms. Pagano was still the president, a bill was passed for tire zone up on Lindbergh. Okay, they were not allowed to have a rack of tires in front of their building. They were not allowed to have a flag flying out in front of their building advertising their business. But yet, day after day, week after week, I see this go on, and nothing's done about it. And I'm pretty sure it was all voted on that that was not going to be allowed. But yet it is. And there again, I can't figure out why. And I can't figure out why stuff like this, when it's brought to somebody, results aren't brought, information isn't brought back. So right now, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary Batiste.
Hello. Hi. I'm here in reference to, I just found out that...
Ma'am, could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Hi, I'm Rosemary Batiste. My address is number 8 Weymouth Court, which is in Florissant, Missouri. I know many of you guys are like, where is this at? But it's a little private cul-de-sac, and that's been there, and we have like 11 houses, if it's that many in that cul-de-sac. And unfortunately, you guys have approved, or someone approved that, to build a Dollar General on Patterson, and then behind us where the Wedgwood Pool used to be, they're going to put a Family Dollar, a dollar. Well, that puts us in a triangle right in the middle. And that cul-de-sac, we have never had any crime. We haven't had any noise in that cul-de-sac. Many of the residents has been there for 20 plus years. And that's, to us, really is going to affect our neighborhood. We've raised kids over there, and I called the police department, everybody say, where is it at? Because they don't come over there. And I was just wondering, is there something we can do to stop one of those stores? One's going to be in my backyard, and the other's going to be in my neighbor's backyard. So now we're going to be alarmed. We already watch out for each other, but it's going to be even worse now. I just feel it's a danger to us. So I just want to know, is there anything you all can really kind of take a look at that and consider, if you have your home is in a private area, would you want someone to disturb you? And that's all. We need you all to really look at it. It's 11 houses, 12 houses, and we are just residents that want to stay quiet, and we like that. So I want you all to consider, and that's right off Patterson and Shadow Rock. So if anyone not sure where it's at, it's right there. It's required.
Rosemary, that's my ward,
Yeah.
and I will get with you after, and I'll give you my card. We can set up a date where we can talk about this.
Please.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank
All right.
you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
That's it. Next item on the agenda is communication, which I see none. Next item is public hearing. Public hearing number 180826 was opened on August 13, 2018, and postponed to this date. Is the petitioner present?
Let's see which one it is. Popeye. You might want to say that it's Popeyes.
Is this Popeyes? Yeah.
You might want to say that, then might have the number.
Do I need it?
You don't have to read it, just say the number, or just say what it is.
Is this for Popeyes, correct? Yes. Okay, sure. Come on up, sir.
Tim Varley, Z&H Foods, 4415 Highway 6, Sugar Land, Texas.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, sir. You have the floor.
We've petitioned for an amendment to the B5 zoning, which we've had approval from Planning and Zoning, looking to get approval from City Council.
Do you have anything that you're going to show up on the,
No, sir, I think everybody has all the documentation we need here.
pretty much, huh? Mr. Hinkie?
Good evening.
This is my ward. A couple of meetings ago, we were talking about it, resolving the issue with the brick, and in particular interest is the cross-access agreement.
Yes, sir.
So have you guys agreed that you're going to open that cross-access agreement there?
Yeah, I've got the information from Mr. Kinsella on the recording. We didn't have that at the time
Okay.
for some reason, and so now that he's furnished that documentation, we're going to get with him and figure out. It's a little awkward having the one-way coming in and out, but I think he's got some good ideas on how we can work together to resolve that, and we'll just get it done.
All right, I tell you what, that's wonderful news. As long as you guys have figured it out between you, amicable. You've answered my questions. As long as I get your agreement that you guys are going to work that out, and Mr. Kinsella, it's all good?
Kevin Williams for Kinsella Family Real Estate.
Step to the mic, please.
Kevin Williams for Kinsella Family Real Estate. We did speak moments ago, and I do think we're going to be able to work through this. But in terms of it's my understanding that there's going to be some kind of an ordinance or a modification where this settles out. And so we would just request that whatever that is, it would include confirmation that we are in fact going to have that ingress and egress.
Okay, that's good. And I think if you've worked this out, Mr. Hessel, you may want to help me out with this. But if you guys have worked this out, then we will just include that, tentatively agree that egress will be included in the plan, and you guys will work out the details of it.
That's fine with me.
Mr. Hessel?
As long as we can agree that it will be open and be somewhat level.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Hessel?
What we'll need to do is one of you will have to stay in contact with Mr. Lum, Phil Lum, the building commissioner, so that we can amend the present bill to make sure that the easement, access easement, is properly included in the bill, meaning that it will be specifically identified as being included. And Kevin, I know you and I spoke earlier, and we'll have to make sure that that footnote on the site plan is not in any way going to negatively affect what we're doing. So if you have some kind of arrangement that's worked out, if you can talk to Mr. Lum, we'll make sure that we amend the bill between this evening, when you have first reading, and the next meeting.
Final reading, okay. And I want to thank you, gentlemen, for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate this to confirm. The idea is to have that ingress and egress open so that cars can go move back and forth.
Yeah.
And that will be paved, a smooth paved area between the two lots.
Yeah, so the idea is to, we have an elevation grade difference between our lot and his lot by about 3 feet over the span of, I believe it's 15 feet or 18 feet. So it's not a huge steep slope, but we'll, we'll do our best to not affect drainage. Obviously, we don't want to be dumping a bunch of water onto his lot. So take care of drainage as well as creating a nice smooth transition, and we'll have it paved, whatever the paving is. I think it's concrete through our lot and asphalt at your property line, and tie them in and make them so that it's acceptable. And I think if you want to put language in there that you sign off, or Tony signs off when it's all said and done on the construction, we can agree there as well.
Perfect. Once again, you satisfied me. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
That's all I have.
Are we good on all the other stuff for
Well,
approval?
and I think as long as Mr. Lum, and I know we had discussed it on there was some discussion on the landscaping, but I think that's been resolved. And there was an issue on the brick, and from my understanding in this bill, that's been resolved. Without going in any much further on the brick issue, we're looking forward to moving forward. You guys, hope you do wonderful business. And if does anybody else have anything, I think we beat this horse enough, and we kind of know where we're at with this one. And I don't want to belabor any further points on it myself.
Okay.
To be clear then, the amended bill will provide that the building as constructed will be allowed to remain, that they will not have to reconstruct it with brick. The landscaping has been taken care of, so that's in the bill as currently being presented to the City Council. The only item that's outstanding then is the cross-access agreement and the cross-access ingress and egress point, that I understand that the two parties will work together, work up some language, get it to Mr. Lum. So we will be amending that portion of the bill, as I said, between this evening and 2 weeks from now.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Good on my part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to comment on this public hearing? Seeing none. Yes, Mr. Adams. Come on up, sir.
I think since we're all not going to be here tomorrow, a moment of silence would be nice.
Excuse me?
A moment of silence for 9/11?
I'm not sure that's related to the public hearing. I understand your point, but that's not related to the public hearing. He's asking for a moment of silence for 9/11. It's not part of this public hearing, but I'll let you all address it at the right time.
I apologize.
Yeah, well, I'll give it.
Closed.
Councilman Hinkey moves to close the public hearing, second by myself. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. All opposed? Public hearing is closed. Next item on agenda is public hearing 18-08027. Was opened on August 27, 2018, and postponed to this date. Is a petitioner present?
For grace and mercy. For grace and mercy.
Not here. Petitioner is not present. I'll make a motion that we postpone this to our next city council meeting, which is the 24th of September. Second by Ms. Pagano. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is public hearing number 18-08028. Was open on August 27th, 2018, and postponed to this date. Is a petitioner present? Come on forward, sir. State your name.
My name is
Address
Tony
for the
Lewis.
record, please.
Tony Lewis with Mason Sign Company. Address is 9423 St. Charles Rock Road, St. Louis, Missouri 63114.
Thank you, sir. You have the floor.
I have the floor. Well, okay. So we're proposing to put in a LED changeable message center at the Knights of Columbus. The reasons are for better communication. It's a better way to communicate with the public and have multiple messages. It's an efficient way to do it. There are many more pros than I can see of any cons for this. So we're, really it's the 21st century technology. So we're just asking that we can be treated the same way as other businesses in the area. So,
Mr. Lewis, do you have pictures of the sign that you can show us? Or
I certainly do, yes.
My camera's not working. I don't know what's going on.
that's not working.
Can't.
Oh, it won't go on there.
I'm getting nothing.
Okay. It's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. We're having
I can't control it.
technical
My
difficulties.
system's down.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties with that. Mr. Henke.
Yeah, I've got the pictures are in our packets of what they're doing there.
Okay.
Basically, it's the sign, it's on the south entrance on Washington Street, the south entrance on Washington Street there. You're gonna use the same box and everything, just put a digital sign in that box. And planning and zoning has recommended approval on it also. It's in my ward. And I think the nights, the grounds down there are such an integral part of our city, our Valley of Flowers Festival, and anything that we can get the word out or help you guys with, I think it's a good idea. I think the sign will look really good down there.
Thank you, Ms. Henke. Mr. Parson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Thanks.
I just have a couple of questions, and in terms of these signs, I know you guys are probably aware there's been some debate in terms of the safety of some of these signs. Are you guys taking any measures and making these signs as safe as possible in terms of not having animation and the duration of the signs?
Absolutely. We're going to follow all the ordinances. Okay, go ahead.
With the sign, there was an LED sign at St. Ferdinand Parish. I was on the committee that, I was very low level, but there was many rules that we follow there as far as I think each message is up there for 10 seconds, so that it's, you're not trying to, bombard somebody with 3 or 4 different messages. So they drive by, they get one, they see it in a split second, and they move on. So that was part of our plan. We will follow that, knowing, whatever the city says, for the safety of those driving by, there'll be no, moving, it'll be all just just the message and that's it, no moving pictures or anything.
Okay, all right.
We have a dim down feature on the on the sign itself that actually tones down the brightness at night, so
Okay.
it doesn't blind anybody when they're driving as well. And there's several
That
features.
that's done automatically by, or you
That
guys
is
have to set it?
that is
Okay.
automatic. It's automatic when the sun goes down, and
Okay.
it comes back on when the sun's bright. So that's a safety feature. And again, also there are certain rules that we can set up on this to have 15-second messages to where people aren't going crazy looking at the sign, flashing real fast and trying to read a bunch of messages. There'll be 15-second intervals in between, or we can set that for any time based on what the fluorescent requires.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Parson. Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am a member of the Knights of Columbus, so I will be not voting on this ordinance this evening. I will say I did run by the location yesterday, and I know there's a similar sign directly across the street from it, so I don't personally see a problem with it, but I will not be voting on this tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Mr. Shildroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm also a member of the Knights of Columbus, and I will not be voting on this measure tonight, but I know the site quite well, and I think it'll be great.
Thank you, Mr. Shildroff. Mr. Harris.
Just a question for Mr. Lewis, because I've been interested in the signs. The dimming feature, can that be adjusted as far as the percentage of dimming?
yes, it can.
Okay.
Yes, it can. It can be adjusted to 0 all the
Okay.
way up to 100%, and we'll set the parameters based on the requirements of the city. I believe it's 40% or 60, for one or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I drove by and looked at this sometime back when Paul was in the planning stage of it. As everybody knows, we just purchased some signs too, and I wanted to bounce some other things off what you guys were doing that we was doing. So I'm totally in favor of this, Paul. I'm for the communication, reaching out, and I'm glad to see some other people in the city making a stand. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this public hearing? Seeing no further comments, Councilman Hinkie moves to close this public hearing, second by Councilman Jones. All in favor? All against? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Carrie's on his way.
Next item on the agenda is old business. First item under old business bills will be for the second reading. Bills for the second reading, bill number 9413. Councilman Caputa moves for a second reading, second by no second.
Oh, hi.
To make it, no, is he making first? Technical difficulties.
He just. What? Hang on.
I don't got nothing. Oh, he's got. Mine's off too.
We could actually continue if you want to.
Jeff, can we take a 5-minute recess?
Oh, it's coming back on. It's coming back on.
Move for a 5-minute recess.
Mr. Egan moves for a 5-minute recess. I'll second that motion. Take 5 minutes. All in favor?
My panel is not.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
His panel's not. Nope.
Nothing. Mine just says Maduro series. Okay, next item on the bill is Bill number 9413. Councilman Caputa moves for a second reading, second by Ms. Pagano. Discussion.
No, all in favor, just talk.
All in favor?
No. Just for discussion, you don't do all in favor.
Discussion.
Discussion is open.
Mr. Egan.
Thank you, President Caputa. As the people, you see on the agenda this evening, we have a list of money transfers. Some were holdover from last session and some are new this session. I think it's only fair to let the citizens know where we are and how we got here, and this is just in my opinion. Our government has three branches. We have the executive branch, which is the administration, the judicial branch, which is the judge, and the legislative branch, which is the council. Each year, the staff and the mayor, the administration, prepare a budget and they present it to the council. The council, generally speaking, has one or two meetings, refines the budget, and presents it to the mayor for approval. Last year's budget process was by far the most difficult in the history of the city of Florissant, in my opinion. Certainly the most difficult one of the 7 I've sat on. About a year and a half ago or so, at a work session, I asked the then financial director, Mr. McDaniel, how long he could run his personal household in the manner that we were running the city, and his response was, not very long. Realizing that we need to make some changes, the council set out on a mission to reduce spending in a manner that would have minimal impact on our citizens and our greatest assets, and our greatest assets are our employees. We asked the administration to take a hard look at the budget and make necessary cuts. With the exception of the Parks and Recreation Department, that request was largely ignored. With the cooperation of the financial director, the council, under the I guess the impetus of Mr. Lee, crafted an ordinances, and then we enacted an ordinance that would offer qualifying employees an early retirement incentive. Part of this incentive was an opportunity for the administration. Sadly, the administration did not view this as an opportunity, as opposed to an infringement upon the executive branch. The ordinance mandated that any positions vacated would be kept unfilled for a period of 16 weeks. This would give the administration the opportunity to name a person to fill in that position in an acting role. This would give the administration the opportunity to observe an employee for a period of time to see if they were capable or suited for a position prior to offering it to them full-time. The administration largely ignored this ordinance. We understood as a council that some positions would have to be filled immediately, and the council made allocations for which this could happen. The council, as one example, specifically asked that the assistant finance director not be filled until a director was hired. To rub the council's face in this authority, one of the first positions that was filled was the assistant finance director. The administration ignored the ordinance, and now the chickens have come home to roost. There isn't enough money left to pay our people through our fiscal year, so we, the council, have to make a choice tonight. We either transfer money or lay people off for periods of times and cut services. I've never won or lost an entire budget. The budget's a process. Oftentimes, you don't get what you want. Matter of fact, myself and some of the other council members opposed certain items in this budget we felt were going too far. Some of those votes I won and some of those votes I lost, but in the end I agreed to support the consensus of the majority of the council and support this budget, and that's what I would call solid political servitude. The most important thing, the most disappointing thing that happened in the budget process last year and through the execution of this budget was that our employees were used as pawns, in my opinion. On several occasions, they were told to come to council meetings and pressure us. Some of them were told that council didn't like them. They were too old, and we wanted to get rid of them, and that is absolutely horrible. We hurt some really good people's feelings, and it was all untrue. If any employee loses 1 minute of time, it's not the fault of the council. Ultimately, the administration is going to get what they want tonight. We're either going to transfer this money or we're going to come out looking like the bad guys when we lay people off. Had the administration displayed the same leadership in the development and execution of this budget as it has with Proposition D, the sales tax, or the proposition coming up on the gasoline tax, we wouldn't be in the situation that we face today. I'm disillusioned, I'm disgusted, and I'm disappointed. Thank you. That's what I got to say.
Mr. Jones.
Yep, just to remind everybody that I did vote against last year's budget. It was not a balanced budget, and I'm not for, if it's not a balanced budget, it's a no-go with Tim Jones. I was in favor for the retirement incentive, which we made an offering. We did not make no one retire. They did this on their own. The mayor did not like what we did, and this is the repercussions that we're getting. Thanks.
Egan wanted to talk again.
Mr. Egan.
I would ask that we suspend the rules and ask the finance director to come forward, and maybe we can talk about this bill and other bills to get some answers. I was upset to find out that, I'll be very candid with you, I sat down Saturday morning and I looked at the numbers from the first readings last time. I wasn't aware until I came in today that many of these are substitute bills. I was not told these were substitute bills, and it's not staff's fault. I guess I should have been more attentive that the bills I looked at over the weekend were, or Saturday morning, were actually from the first readings. And so some of these are substitute readings, correct? But I would make a motion we suspend the rules so we can at least get information from the financial director that might help us in making our decision on whether we're transferring this money or not.
There's a motion on the floor to suspend the agenda and open it up for finance director, correct? Mm-hmm. Second by Mr. Hinkie. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Ms. Johnson? Kimberly, we're talking about 9413, Bill 9413.
Okay. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity at this time. As you know, I'm new to the city of Florissant. Been the finance director for a little, maybe not even 3 months. Challenged coming in because the whole department was new, and I've been very pleased with the employees and their performance. And I think it was very important for the assistant finance director to be in position.
Microphone. You need to be a little closer to the microphone.
Oh, okay, sorry. To be in, I think it was very important for the assistant finance director to be in position and get people started training. She is knowledgeable of many of the aspects of the finance department and the city itself. And even though she didn't do the position before, she was aware of things. So we're working together, and without her, it wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it is. So I worked diligently on understanding the repercussions of the retirement incentive program. I saw that immediately when I walked in that was a topic a high topic of interest, and it could affect the budget and the finance considerably if I didn't look into it. In looking into it, I saw that it was structured very well in the way that the positions were filled by people within and promoted, and they, for the most part, their salaries were less than those that are going out. So it was a good opportunity to for the salaries to be lower for the budget. And I just finished the actual projections, and it has been somewhat piecemeal because I am so new to the city. So with that in mind, I worked diligently on the projections for the payroll, and I worked with each one of the departments to make sure that the projections looked right. I compared them with 17. I did a lot of analysis before coming up with these numbers. I worked with Cheryl Thompson prior to finalizing this. They were worried because of the incentives, the budget in certain departments, the salary budget wasn't enough. So there are a couple departments that were concerned, and for one was Cheryl's. So we looked at hers, we came up with a number, but once I did the projections, we tweaked it a little bit. So that's why we have the suspended or changes in what we submitted, because for the most part, they were for her programs. I worked with her and simplified those so it made more sense where I saw there were extra salaries in parks because, or I should say like Bangor Park, and for the summer program, there's going to be additional funds, 44 to 50,000 in each. So moving those salaries from one department to another. So what this is, that you received before the meeting, is it gives you a scenario of the changes by reference number in order. And the first one is those that affect the general fund, then those that affect the park improvement, capital improvement, sewer lateral, and public safety. Everything that you see within the general fund, except for the last one, which is asking to transfer salaries from Bangor salaries to IT for supplies and software for the, what we spoke about at one of the work sessions was the payroll management program, timekeeping, and the interface with Encode, which would save hundreds and hundreds of hours, employee hours, and it would be in line with the auditor's recommendations to have the payroll reviewed, and it's in its current state. It cannot be reviewed because it's all source documents. There's no tally sheets. So each department, if we don't have that timekeeping system, each department will have to go through a very large spreadsheet itemizing all their employees, tallying it. We'd have to tally it, then you'd have to still manually compare it. This just takes all of that out of the equation. So everything else that's on here in general is just transferring from one department's salaries to another, and it's all within the budget. We're not asking for any more appropriations. We're not asking it from any other line items. We're just moving within salaries and benefits. I do have a worksheet that shows, let me finish this for a moment though. So this, we got a request to give a detail of how the funds were affected. So I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but what I thought you would be helpful is to show how the departments within the general fund are affected. So like Civic Center, they're going to reduce their budget by $77,000. Parks Department is increasing their budget by $77,000. And again, this is all within salaries and benefits. So these are the effects that it would have, these totals, on each of the department's budget. And again, it's all within the same budget. I have another worksheet that I've prepared, and this is how I made my projections. So if you'd like to look at this spreadsheet, I do have copies for everyone, and it gives you by department. It's based on August salaries, and I've projected for September, October, November. And what's nice, the good thing about this is, I know usually you would have a mid-year review and projections to adjust the budget, but because of all these changes in payroll, August was pretty clean. So it gave me, yes, it gave me confidence in the projections.
Kim, we have a couple questions as of right now. Mr. Parson?
Yes, thanks, Mr. President. In terms of looking at these, I know you're kind of giving us an overall, I guess, state of the budget right now, but since we have each one of these things that are being proposed today in terms of the transfers, I would like for us to kind of take each one of them one by one instead of trying to look at everything as a whole. So I don't know if everybody else agrees with me or not, but since we're starting with 9413 on this transfer for 15,000, I just want to know what your thoughts are on that and how it's going to affect the park improvement fund. And I'm sorry, the second part of that question is I know you're asking for more than what it's going to cost for the boiler to be repaired in case there's going to be more repairs until we have a new budget. Can you explain a little bit how, if we do make this transfer, how things are going to be affected?
Okay. For the Park Improvement Fund specifically, the worksheet shows that the change in fund balance, there is no change in the fund.
Which worksheet are you looking at now?
The first spreadsheet
The
I
first
gave you
one.
this evening.
All right.
The second section is Park Improvement Fund.
Okay.
And you will see at the right side, change in fund balance. There is no change in fund balance. So basically, their request, the program is requesting changing, just transferring from one line item to another. So they're transferring 15,000 from pavement repairs to building maintenance and repairs. So I have talked with each one of the department heads, and they are very confident because we've talked about, okay, when they've said this, I've asked them, well, what are you going to do? Do you know that you don't have any more pavement repairs you need? And as of now, they're saying, no, we don't need any at this point. So they can move those over to the building maintenance and repairs.
All right.
Same with then the transfer of 40,000. This would be office supplies, transferring from office.
Well, I don't know if anybody else has any questions about 9413. I just want to make sure that we're
Yes, that's what we're-
exhausting every single one, so we're staying on task here a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
9413 is what we need to
Okay.
stay on with.
So we're talking 15,000 from pavement repairs. So that's the information that I've received, and I'm very comfortable with the answers that I've received from the department heads on why they do not need those number, that amount in the fund, in the.
Well, I know it's not your job to actually fix a boiler, but is there any possibility that it may cost more than this 10,000, or is there any possibility to actually repair it, or it just absolutely has to be replaced?
My understanding is that it cannot be repaired, and it is dangerous as it is now. They're monitoring it daily, but that doesn't mean something else might happen and it could scald somebody. If it's not functional now, and there's hot water issue of it being too hot, I think it's a safety issue. And for $10,000, even if it cost a couple $1,000s, I think it's in the best interest of the city.
Okay, I understand.
Can I answer that?
Yes.
We have gotten bids.
Microphone, Cheryl.
We have gotten bids for a new hot water heater, and we're assured that it's going to be less than 10,000. But I said, rounded it up to 10 because it's like 9,000 something. So we have gotten bids. As soon as this gets approved, we would go ahead and move forward with the work.
So if we just approve the 10,000 instead of making a transfer for 15, would that?
The only problem is the amount of repairs that we've done to the boiler at JFK, the Zamboni machine, along with, I think there was an additional heater that had to be bought for the hot tub. That account is so low in funds that I don't foresee that we could make it till the end of the fiscal year. And that's why the additional 5,000 is asked for, to subsidize that account.
All right, I understand. I have no further questions on this one.
Mr. Egan.
Are we only discussing?
9413, please.
I don't know questions on 9213.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hinkie.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the job you're doing and making this make sense to us, okay? It means a lot to me. Tell me if I heard this correctly or did not. These changes and these transfers from different funds, in effect, my term is budget neutral. Yes. So we're taking some out of here and moving it over to here, but the effect at the end of the day out of all of these is no net additional cost out of general fund. No, it's revenue, it's budget neutral. It's not going to affect the budget at the end of the day.
Correct, and that's in the general fund.
Okay.
As you will see, I've shown where we're requesting appropriations, but that's farther down in other funds.
Okay, and that was important to me because I wanted to make it very clear that these transfers do not require additional monies. I don't want to use the term robbing Peter to pay Paul because that's not what I'm saying. We're moving from left pocket to right pocket, but
Right.
the net is neutral.
For some reason, some departments were budgeted higher than others, and I'm assuming that it was because they really didn't know what the fallout was going to be with the RIP, the retirement. And with Coke Park being closed, maybe not knowing really how much payroll is needed for that. So we've come in under budget for Bangor and for...
Once again, I want to thank you, and I just think, to me, it was an important distinction to understand that we're not requesting a bunch more money out of the budget.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
and
all
if I can add one thing, is that the second document you received, on the last page, it shows my projections for all departments within general fund. We're going to have, I'm going to say 300 to 350,000 will be under budget. And that's already that's already, like if you look at the far right column, it's going to show you who's got projected overage, who's got projected balance remaining in their budget. So health has 77,000, public works has 75,000, police has 96,000. I have talked with each one of them concerning any emergencies that might come up. I know the police department works on certain cases that may come up they're not aware of. So they believe these amounts that are left in the budget are ample for anything that might come up.
So this is in effect a surplus, a budget surplus at that end?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkie. Ms. Pagano.
Yes, I was sort of going with Mr. Parson here to stay on, just this bill. But I do have a question in regards to them. Every year we try to get a turn back. I mean, a turn back of money to go back into the general fund that we didn't use. To me, this is
To
a little
increase the
shorter.
fund
And we
balance?
did borrow, we did take out of the general fund to balance this budget, so I was hoping that actually more would go in. It amazes me that...
I'm sorry, I can't quite hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
It just sort of amazes me, and this is not you. I appreciate what you're doing, that I sat through 8 very long and very stressful budget hearings asking for someone to cut 10% of their budget, and I was told it could not be done, and now all of a sudden we have newfound money, and it makes no sense to me. So this one I don't see a huge problem with, but I will have questions when the other ones come. So thank you, President.
Thank you, Ms.
Can
Pagano.
I make a comment to that? I know that the benefits, the health insurance came in lower than anticipated. They were budgeted at probably 20% because they got an estimate of, say, 18. They came in at 4.5 increase. So that's normal. I've seen that in other companies that I've been with. But I think that was a great job HR did to be able to get those lowered that significantly. That's a significant decrease. So I don't know if we can count on that again this year, but we're sure hoping for that. But as you go through, you'll see that the benefits also were over budgeted, and that is one of the main factors of that.
No other questions on 9413? Okay, there is a discussion. All in favor for a second reading? All opposed? Ayes have it. Clerk?
Ordinance to authorize a transfer of $15,000 from account number 09509511470 Park and Pavement Repairs to account number 09509290000 Building Maintenance and Repairs for the purpose of supplementing various building repairs before the end of the fiscal year.
Councilman Caputa moves for a third reading. second by Mr. Hinkie. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance to authorize a transfer of $15,000 from account number 09509514070, park pavement repairs, to account number 09509290000, building maintenance and repairs, for the purpose of supplementing various building repairs before the end of the fiscal year.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill?
Which one? 9413?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do. I have a question.
Come on up, sir. Mr. Adams.
Okay, now, I just heard all these projections on all this stuff, but we're dealing with 9413. So now, they have a surplus this year, so does that mean next year their budget's gonna be lowered? Is that how we're coming up with this projection figure? We're already saying that next year they're not gonna need this extra 15,000?
We haven't had the budget yet for next year.
Okay,
So some departments, what we budgeted for, the estimate and this and that, and for this certain account number are certain, correct?
So park improvement fund,
9413.
I'm not addressing whether we have surplus in that fund or not. I was speaking strictly
Right, so
on
you're
the
gonna-
general fund, that we have a surplus. We'll have a surplus of payroll. This park improvement fund, it's just going between line items, and there is no effect to the current budget, projected budget, current budget numbers.
To me, it seems like a paper shuffle here. I mean, I don't know. You guys know more about it than I do, obviously, because you've been fighting this for how many months? And I know you've been fighting it all years. And I appreciate you fighting it for the city of Florissant and fighting it for the citizens of Florissant. But to me, all of a sudden, we got this money here, we got this money there, we're moving money here, we're moving. How did that money all get such a big excess in the first place? And as far as the projections go, I can say, well, you know what? I'm not going to be here next year because I'm projecting I'm going to win the lottery, so I'll buy all you guys a new house, and we'll all move out to Winsville or Warrensburg, okay? It's our own little community. I just don't understand how we can have these, all of a sudden we got this extra money, and now we don't. I mean, I can't understand it. That's all I can say. It just seems like a paper shuffle.
Clerk?
Egan?
Yes.
Caputa?
Yes.
Shildroth? Yes. Hanky?
Yes.
Pagano? Yes. Parson?
Yes.
Cyan? Yes. Harris?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Bill number 9413 becomes ordinance
8441.
8441. Next item is substitute Bill 9414.
We got to accept the substitute first.
Ms. Pagano moves to accept the substitute Bill 9414, second by myself. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
Move for discussion.
Councilman Pagano moves for a second reading, second by myself. Discussion. Ms. Pagano.
Would you just? Oh, yeah, I'm going to leave it
Now
right
we're on
to
the
you.
next bill.
Do I have to suspend the rules every one for her? Okay, good.
So what, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Egan's motion to suspend the rules included all of them.
All the bills. Good. Perfect.
So you can just stay up there.
Perfect.
Nobody-
Yeah, you're going to be here, Polly, for all of them.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Should I take my shoes off?
But I can't get answers from anybody else, so at least I can get them tonight from you.
Okay, yes, very good. I'm ready.
So, okay.
I'm more than ready.
Well, this one, actually, I was with Mr. Egan on this, and I was set on the first bill, the reading that we had from last meeting, and that's what I was going for. And I guess my mistake, because I did the same thing as him, and before the meeting went through and went, oh my God, what is this? It's totally different when I was trying to get my thing. Could you explain how we came up with this and these accounts and money difference than we had in the original bill? Right, 94?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but
9414 was
I
way
can't tell you
different.
exact dollar amounts, but what I am saying is, we're looking at 9414, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we asked for 61,000 in salaries and 6,000 in benefits. And this was before I had a thorough review of the projections. I didn't have everything calculated. We were doing one of those fly-by-nights. Here's what we have, revenue versus expenses right now. Here's some estimated payrolls. And when I finished with the entire projection, which was this week, in time for this session, we wanted to tweak these to be more accurate instead of coming back and saying, oh, we need another 8,000. Now understand that this is a projection, but it's a very informed projection based on August salaries and projections by each department on their part-time salary.
Do you know how many new employees there were? I mean, I guess I'm confused.
It's not that they're new employees. The budget, I think, this is my take on it. I think that because it was a very difficult budget year and that it extended longer than normal and with unknowns as far as the increase in police salaries, I don't know when they actually knew how much that would be. I think it's a timing issue of, preparing the budget with the intent that mid-year it would be reviewed once things are settled, once the increases for the police have taken place, and once the retirement incentives took place, which would be mid-year, and unfortunately, because I just came in mid-June, that didn't really happen. So I think you would have seen these mid-year. Whether you had them before or had this quantity before, I think it still lends to the fact that you had new things coming at you, and it was just a good estimate. And I think on Randy's behalf, he probably was like trying to hold everything together. He had the retirement incentive he was trying to calculate and manage, administer, in addition to setting up new funds for the street department, for the maintenance, that housing maintenance, what do you call them?
A&R.
A&R, and for the street. I think there was just, he did the best, he probably did the best he could, gave an estimate out there and figured at some point it would be reviewed to actual, and this happens. And I think this is very, dollar-wise, I don't think this is significant. What I was surprised with was how much salaries were put into police, because we have 400,000, we have 500,000 actually under budget. So 400,000.
In what account is that? That you have 400,000 under budget? In what account?
In 200,000. Well, it's on the second sheet, the three-page. On page 3, in the middle of the page, police. We're estimated to have a budget balance of 340,000 in salaries, 219 in employee benefits, and out of the salaries, due to the fact that there's a year-end adjustment for the November payrolls that are actually paid in December for the beginning of the year and the end of the year, you back out FY17 and you add in FY18. So I hope I didn't lose you, but there is a year-end adjustment, and it is going to be, it looks to be an expense. So I made sure that I took in the account for the year-end budget to make sure that these numbers were as correct as I could get them for a projection.
Okay.
So
I am again, so on this bill, 9414,
yes.
I don't see what that has to do with the police department.
You asked.
I know I don't understand what it has to do with the
Okay.
police department. I'm
You
$70,000
asked why
for benefits
Yeah.
to go to those employees. I'm asking, who are those employees? Were they then promoted after the RIP? Because we do pretty well balancing the budget as far as how many employees we have and how much it's going to cost us at the end of the year. It's amazing that this year, totally confused. I want to know if this has something to do with the retirement incentive package.
tell you that.
Were these new employees, where there's people who got promoted that should have waited until December? I am not, again, I have to clarify this to our employees. I am not against anyone getting a raise.
Okay.
I am not against anyone getting a promotion.
Okay.
The problem was, this should have waited until December 1st, so this retirement package could have went through and we would not be having this. Again, I said in many meetings that we had, if there was something, any way that this was going to affect this retirement incentive on salaries and benefits, I will be the first one voting no. Not that the employees don't deserve it, they don't deserve their raises, but if this has anything to do with that and promotions, I'm a no.
I can speak for what salaries are taken out of this, out of recreation. It's the parks director, it's the administrative assistant to the director, it's the head park ranger, and some part-time park rangers.
Okay. When taking over, I think anybody who was promoted, I think it was a 10% increase of their pay. That was it. And it was all figured out in the retirement incentive. So I don't know who the other ones were, if they were promoted. I don't think they were on my original promotion list.
The only person who was promoted in this particular division was myself. I was moved from the Civic Center into this budget. And so it may be that difference that's causing this, along with the incentive.
I don't think it would be $77,000 difference for just her moving into a position at 10% of her, how the retirement center was incentive was supposed to be.
So we're talking about parks, correct?
I'm talking 9414.
47? 47? Yes.
Right.
Okay. The retirement payout was $66,956.
Right.
And Cheryl is now being paid out of parks.
At 10% more than what Cheryl was being paid.
So we had a $66,000
And no one else would have been moved.
No. We had a $66,000 payout, and in addition to that, her salary is coming out of that. So we're actually better than, I mean, it's paying more, so.
Her salary was already in there. Her salary was already budgeted for. I should just have a 10%. Her salary was already a budget. She was.
It wasn't in this division. I was in the Civic Center division.
Yes.
So they moved me from Civic Center into this division because of more or less acting as the director.
Okay. I need a minute, because I'm totally, I feel like I'm in budget meetings right now.
Well, I just trying to simplify this by saying that we're negative 65,000 in salaries, so a total negative of 72,000, and the payout was 67,000. And in addition to that, we're paying Cheryl's salary. So the numbers here.
So her salary came out of the other account. So that account should now be whatever.
It's over. That account will have a surplus. So we're moving some of that, I believe, from the Civic Center into another account here.
Okay, go. Did anybody else have anything?
Mr. Parson.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, so you guys kind of went into what I was going to ask about. So your salary is no longer coming from community and civic center. It's now coming from recreation and parks. So the money, you would have been paid from the civic center, but now since you're in parks, you need that money to move over so that you can get paid there. Now, is there anything else that accounts for the surplus in community and civic center? Are there like less hours for the hourly employees or anything like that? Or do you think it's strictly your move from civic to rec and parks?
And that's why, that's some of it.
Yeah. Some of it will have been,
I'm sorry.
Some of it will have been some additional salaries that we didn't end up using. We try to cut back wherever we can. And so some of those savings have been because we've cut back staff somewhat. So whenever we can, when we see it's going to be a slow night, we'll send people home. We won't possibly schedule as many people. So some of that savings is there.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I had a follow-up question and just forgot it. I'll come back to that. I'm getting older, apparently. That's all I have until I can remember.
Thank you, Mr. Parson. Mr. Egan.
Thank you. If we do not approve the $77,000 transfer from Civic Center to Parks, does anyone get laid off? We have 2.5 months left in the budget?
What would happen is that we're attributing salaries and benefits to a negative, and it'll be in the negative. We'll be over budget by that amount. So to keep it in balance, that's why I was hoping that these could all be reviewed and passed so that we have several departments like that, and just wanted to be as clean as possible so I can get on to the remaining of the projections and the budget.
Well, I hope that this coming budget is not nearly as difficult as the one we had in 2018.
As far as numbers, I don't think it should be because we have a year of history now.
But you also understand, I also understand, Ms. Pagano, it just blows me away. We have so much extra money in some of these accounts.
Yes, and I thoroughly agree.
I'm going to ask some specific questions as we go down the line, but I'm just absolutely stunned.
Yeah.
That's all I have on this particular one. But we would be over, but if we don't, we could potentially face layoffs if we don't do this transfer this evening, or furloughs, whatever you want to call it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Mr. Hinkie.
Yeah, just once again for clarification, so if we did not pass this, we would be in the negative. But if we don't pass this, we would then be in a surplus of that same amount in a different account. So in other words, if we don't pass this transfer, that surplus would be in the account that your salary was coming out of, which will not be coming out of that account, so that would be a surplus. This is keeping the water's level in itself. You're taking it out of this account, which would be a surplus, and put it into an account that would be a negative if we don't do this transfer.
Yes, and what happens is if you don't change the budget and you go into the new budget, then you're looking at 17 budget versus 18 budget, and it's skewed.
Okay, it's skewed because the transfer was not made.
Right, because you didn't change the budget.
Gotcha. Answer.
And you're going to wonder,
right,
why is it so different? Like we're wondering right now.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, Ms. Johnson, you said that the budget for this specific 9414, you said that it would be over budgeted if we didn't transfer these, correct?
Civic Center. Yes. We have 130, I've got projected 139,000. And this second page, middle, and to the right, it shows,
62.
To the far right, it shows once this transfer is made, you're going to have 62,000 total in those, between those two accounts. So you'll still have budget remaining in those accounts.
Of 62.
Yes, in Civic Center.
Correct?
Right. And Parks, you'll have 5,200.
That's That's if this goes through, correct?
Yes. Based on these projections that have been thoroughly reviewed.
So why are we in this position?
I wasn't here last year, so I can't.
Good answer.
I
Great
can't tell you
answer.
that, but I did tell you that what my instincts told me is that being in this profession, doing finance, budget time, when you run out of time in budget time and you've got new programs you're implementing, you're deciding on how things need to be accounted for, setting up new accounts, getting everybody on board, making allocations, setting up bank accounts, working with retirement incentive programs, getting all that paperwork together. It's quite an undertaking. So I believe, in addition to the insurance being estimated at the first quote, which I believe happened, I think that just all of the things that happened, he was trying to be safe. And if you can't get a good estimate, you be safe. So I think $400,000 for our budget is probably that's probably a good safe number when you don't know what's going to happen. Until you see the sales tax revenues coming in, until you see the payroll increases that you've approved in December, I think he did a good job in estimating it. I think being this amount below budget is great. I think he did a good job. I don't think it's exorbitant. I just think that between the departments, he just didn't have a good handle on what was going to happen in the future. So the good thing is, if we're just talking salaries and benefits, we may have extra, but I still have the revenues to project and the remaining of the expenses to have a full projection. But based on this, we're within budget. We're not asking for any more appropriations within general account.
Okay. All in favor for a second reading? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance to authorize a transfer of $70,000 from account number 01544100000, salaries, community and civic center, to account number 547100000, salaries, recreation parks, and a transfer of $7,000 from account number 01544130000, benefits, community and civic center, to 01547130000, benefits, recreation parks, for the purpose of supplementing payroll and benefits for the remainder of the fiscal year.
I'll move for a third reading. Second by Mr. Harris. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
To authorize a transfer of $70,000 from account number 01544100000, salaries, community and civic center, to account number 547100000, salaries, recreation parks, and a transfer of $7,000 from account number 01544130000, benefits and community and civic center, to 01547130000, benefits, recreation parks, for the purpose of supplementing payroll and benefits for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Please come forward.
I'm probably mistaken on this, but didn't I hear Mr. Egan say that this all starts December 1st, as far as all this going into effect? I mean, she's talking about things happening
No,
in
sir.
December.
No, sir. The actual next year's budget
starts
will go in effect.
December 1st.
These ordinance bills that we coming up now, it's supplementing the 18 budget.
So in other words, we're out of money, and the slush fund on one spot's big, and the slush fund on the other spot's bad, and we're just trying to get them to equal out to get to the December 1st. Correct?
Well,
Call the slush fund.
No, not actually, it's not like that. But there's just.
Let me reword it. that there's an overabundance over here in the parks for whatever God knows reason, but over here in this part of the parks, there's an under part, and we're trying to slice them over here. This, to me, there's too many figures flying around here. I'm just a working man, and you guys are way above me with all this stuff. But these figures here, to me, this is all, especially I heard say at the beginning here, the figures were changed, and you guys were all shocked when you come in and saw it. I think this needs to be tabled till you guys have one more week to look at all this stuff, at least to find out what's going on. I mean, this is paper shuffling. That's my comment. I'm sorry.
Mr. Hinkie.
Well, just for a point of clarification, and I know that there's a lot of numbers bouncing around here, but part of clarification, it was said here just a few moments ago that this salary was taken, this person was moved out of this one salary pool into another salary pool. So what they did was transfer the money from this pool along with that employee into this pool. So it's not a slush fund. If the salary was coming out of your left pocket and now it's got to come out of your right pocket, but you still got the money in the left, well, you got to put that amount of money in your right pocket to pay that employee.
The slush fund was a wrong terminology.
There you go. Okay. But just for clarification.
But to me, I mean, these figures are all, I don't know, you guys seem all shocked by these figures. Okay, some of you do. And some of this stuff has changed, and now you're trying to hash this all out. I think you need to table this to the next meeting where you guys all have a chance to get together and sit down and look at these new figures that she's given you and see what's going on and try to get some figures here. I mean, to me, it seems like something's going to get slid under the board here pretty soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
Can I make a comment to that?
Mr. Harris.
I don't have to comment anymore. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm okay.
You need to say?
Can I
No
make
comment?
comment to what he said, or no?
If you want to, you still
Okay.
want to make one?
Huh?
We're up for the final vote, so if you want to.
Well, again, I'm saying that this is just transferring from one department to another. We're staying within budget, and we're projected to have more money at the end. That's not a bad thing. And if we continue to not, if we do not pass these, it's putting hardship on the city to get a projection and a budget for the new year. A projection for this year, a budget for the new year, and possibly not have to lay people off for not having the funds in the budget. So I strongly suggest that we move forward with each one of these and discuss them.
Clerk, please.
On this one?
We got? Ms. Pagano.
I'm not on. I do agree. I really honestly do not believe that we should be discussing all of these now. I think, you know, you don't even have, we had time to think of what we got, 2 weeks ago. To me, there should have been a work session. There should have been something that it was brought to us, and then we had time to rationalize all this in our heads. It's easy for Mr. Hankey to say go from the left to the right, but as I've seen through the years on this council, one quick judgment, and I could be screwed. That's why I'm really having a hard time with these, and especially with the substitute ones, because I think I was so much on what they were originally. Now you're throwing more information at me, and I don't know if I'm making the right call or if I'm just doing it out of haste, trusting what you said, and I hope I can trust what you said, because in the past there's some things that I probably shouldn't have trusted, if that makes sense.
And that's why I say I took due diligence in every line item I reviewed. I reviewed every single line item. These are summaried up to salaries and up to benefits. I looked at every line item. I got information on each one. I dug into the detail and understood why it's different from last year and why it's different from the budget, and came up to those assumptions that I came up to. I have a lot of experience in doing these projections for various organizations, different types of organizations, and I reviewed these with each one of the departments, the chief of police, Bowden, each of the departments, and they also agreed that they could go through the year. So if there's any adjustments at year end, it will be very minor, And like I say, there's 369,000.
Right, which
Available,
we
so if
do,
there's a
we do look
cushion.
forward to a turn back at the end of the year because we
Right.
have borrowed out of that general fund trying to balance this budget. And that's what I'm saying, we're not putting back. That fund is dwindling. That worries me.
And
You know, for years to come. And that's why I just don't like making this like, without really being able to think. Like, okay, I take in what you say and then that's where I'm coming from, if that makes sense. I have residents to answer to too, and if this isn't it comes to me. I mean, this is their money. It's not my money, it's their money.
Right.
You know, and the taxes that they pay. And so I don't like to I like to study it to make sure I'm making the right decision. So that's all, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pagano. Mr. Jones.
Can you tell me when you had these numbers? You know, we was just provided them tonight.
Yes, I finished these on Wednesday and got with, I have been building this. This wasn't just, oh, all of a sudden I have it on Wednesday. I have been struggling to build this and make sure of the integrity. I probably had a good idea about a week and a half ago, but I needed to make sure I have projections for 19. I've got a detailed full-time by employee and where they're at and what they're making now and what they're going to make with their incentive come 2019. I needed to make sure that what I showed their salaries as of July 21st when I started that spreadsheet, I wanted to make sure those salaries, 18 salaries, matched what I'm showing on this projection. And if they didn't, why don't they? Is it because there's a position that's not filled? So I did the due diligence to make sure that I had credible information.
Sure, and you know, I can appreciate that, but I don't think that we're doing our due diligence just voting on this after this was just stabbed in our hand this evening. By rights, this should have been in our hands maybe 2 weeks ago, so we could all sit down and do our homework so we could represent these people on these monies correctly, not just jammed in our hand by the management on the night that we have to vote on these. This is ridiculous.
And I totally apologize for that, but I think it's was actually out of our hands due to being new.
But you
so
have to
I
understand.
gave it to you as soon as I could.
Sure, and I understand it, but you
and
have
I
to look.
understand you need to do your due diligence, and I understand that, and I totally agree with that.
And don't get me wrong, we're all happy to see that amount of money. That's what the budget sessions were all about, so we could move on with some heavy monies on the other side instead of going into deeper debt. I mean, I'm very overwhelmed by the numbers, but like I said, to throw this at us this evening, and I don't blame you personally, but I just think it's bad business. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Egan. Caputa.
No.
Shildroth. Yes. Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Yes. Siam. No. Harris. Yes. Jones.
No.
Passes.
Pass.
5 to 4 passes.
Okay, Bill 94, substitute Bill 9414 passes and becomes ordinance 8442. Next item, substitute Bill 9415.
Need to accept a substitute.
Hmm?
Need a motion to accept a substitute.
Myself moves to accept substitute Bill 9415, second by Mr. Egan. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Motion for a second.
Need a motion to move for a second? Mr. Parson, hold on.
I just wanted to make an overall motion based upon what Mr. Jones just said. I do think it would benefit us to look at these numbers in the document that we did just receive from Kimberly. You know, I don't mind tabling this to the next meeting. I guess we can maybe vote on all the substitute bills since we have all substitutes and maybe pass it on to the next meeting. I don't know if anybody else is in favor of that, but that would be my motion, is that we just table this to the next meeting.
We have a motion on the floor to table Bill Senate, or substitute Bill 9415, second by Mr. Jones.
Actually, all of them.
Well, there's
You
some
gotta
of
do one
them.
at a time. You gotta do one at a time. No, that's all in favor.
All in favor?
No discussion.
Hold on, Ms. Pagano.
Yeah, I understand tabling, Tim. I'm right with you on this one, but are you talking about having a work session or something to discuss this? Because there's a question in this bill, is that it's coming out of the Park Improvement Fund, is that correct?
It's within the Park Improvement Fund, moving from 2 line items to 1.
Okay, I guess I need discussion to explain.
Because we need 40,000 in salaries, or we're going to be.
You need 40,000 in
Yes.
salaries,
So
are those salaries coming out of the Park Improvement Fund?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it's not a new appropriation. What I'm saying is it's just a transfer from line items.
You need a motion, there's a motion on the floor to postpone.
Okay.
Right.
So the only discussion should be about whether or not we want to continue.
Continue.
On the substance.
Okay, I'm sorry, that was my fault. So I just knew
Right,
that if
Ms.
I
Pagano.
thought if I wasn't going to get it. But continue to have a work session about this, or continue just to continue and do this again in 2 weeks?
We could probably use a work session on this. I would agree.
I'll amend my motion to a work session. That's fine with me.
Mr. Egan has his light on.
Well, you would table it to the next
The
meeting.
motion
and then
is
have a
to
work session
table the
between.
bill, correct?
Yes. Continue the bill.
Or postpone, the table's the motion is the table.
You don't want to postpone it. Right. He wants to
Okay,
postpone.
second,
Continue.
Mr. Parson takes back his motion to table it and makes a motion to postpone it.
Okay.
Second by,
Jones.
That's what I asked.
yes. Hold on, Mayor, I know, Mr. Egan, I know, I see his lights on.
I'm good with work session.
Yes, work session. Mr. Egan.
And I guess we're going to do these with all this bill, so I want to ask you right now, and I understand the position you're in. This is difficult coming before us like this. The very next council meeting's in 2 weeks from tonight. In any of these funds, do we run out of cash in the next 2 weeks? And that's, I'm going to need to know that, whether I decide on a continuance or not, because I'm not going to lay people off.
Okay, so when we talk about funds, I'm assuming that's general funds. No. When we're talking about the departments, within the departments, yes.
So where would we have to lay someone off if we don't do this tonight? And I understand how difficult it is for you because you want to move forward with the rest of this year and next year's budget. I understand that, but please understand where my colleagues and I are coming from on this. If I'd have had this Friday, I could have absorbed this.
Right, and I was still
I
diligently
understand.
pulling it together, so. So for the park improvement, we will not run out of funds until November.
So this one could be delayed.
Yes, it can.
And again, I understand that you don't want it to be delayed, but please understand how
Right,
it
I
is.
understand. I
Okay.
was just trying to do it in one full swoop and
I
then get on
understand.
with everything else for the year.
Okay, so this fund will be okay. This particular fund, no one's going to lose any time
Okay.
for 2 weeks.
Ms. Egan?
That's all I have on this one. If we're going to postpone the other ones, it's the same question. But I understand, I'm good with 9415 at this point in time.
Thank you.
You need an all in favor to postpone.
So this one's,
Yeah, still in discussion.
Mr. Hinkie.
Point of order. Is this postponement specifically for 9415, or are you suggesting we postpone all of these? We have to do one at a time?
9415.
Clarify it, that's all I need to know.
Correct, just for
Thank you.
9415, the
Gotcha.
substitute bill.
Gotcha, answer the question.
No, we roll call.
All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Next item.
24.
Bill number 9416.
No changes in that one.
Myself moves for a second reading, second by Mr. Hinkie. Discussion. Mr. Egan.
Will this fund last 2 weeks?
1 moment.
There's no changes in that.
The $1,000 to cover the resident incentive program, can that be postponed? I don't recall. Okay.
That being the answer, I'll motion to postpone this until 9/24.
We have a motion on the floor to postpone this bill to the 24th. Second by Ms. Pagano. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, so.
Next bill is substitute bill 9417.
Yeah, but.
I myself, I'll move to accept substitute bill 9417, second by Mr. Egan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Myself moves for a second reading, second by Mr. Hinkie. Discussion.
I would make a motion to
Hold on, Jackie. Let me get sure. Okay.
Yes.
You're on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'd make a motion to postpone. I'd like to hear from the golf committee on this, please.
I second that.
Second.
We have a motion to postpone substitute bill 9417, second by Mr. Parson. All in favor?
Discussion, please.
Discussion. Before you do all in favor, discussion.
Discussion. Mr. Egan.
Again, I'm going to go back to my Pat question here. Can the salaries at the golf course last 2 weeks?
Yes, it can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Nope, I'm good.
Mr. Shuldroff.
That was my question. It was answered. Thank you.
Mr. Harris.
No, I'm okay.
Mr. Parson.
I was just going to make a motion to continue, so.
Ms. Pagano, you, okay?
No, in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Substitute 9417 is postponed. Next item is bill number 9418. Because the funds requested of the bill spur were added to bill 9417, I will move to postpone this bill indefinitely. Second by,
That means it goes away. that means it goes away because the previous bill had everything included. They're postponing this one indefinitely because the previous bill addresses everything that's in this bill, so when they want it to go away.
A postponement indefinitely does not exist under Robert Rules of Order.
You have to table it, correct.
Okay. That's not what.
But again, that puts it on a table, and you have to pull it back off the table at some point.
It needs to go away. So you can.
So I'll make a
you can
motion,
and just
9418, we
Let it die.
table Bill 9418.
Or you can make a motion for a second reading and let it die for lack of a second. Or they can make a motion to read it for a second time and then let it die for lack of a second reading.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's easy.
Okay.
So how?
Second by Mr. Shuldroff.
No,
Yeah. Let it die. Okay. So it's no second.
All right. Okay.
Bill 9418 dies. Dies for a lack of a second. Next item is 9419.
It's not a substitute.
May I make a motion to postpone?
Ms. Pagano makes a motion, we postpone Bill 9419. Second by Mr. Jones. All in favor? Discussion. Mr. Egan.
These repairs, that can they wait 2 weeks again? I know this is probably Streets Director or Public Works Director. What repairs are we looking at, and can they wait for 2 weeks?
This budget is short on funds right now, so there is a potential that we would have to wait until this is passed to do any repairs on fleet vehicles, police fleet, parks fleet, public works fleet.
You speak up, please, Todd.
Sure, I'm sorry. I'm a little further away from the microphone than she is. There is a possibility that we would have to delay repairs if this particular bill is not passed. We go through about $5,000 worth of parts a month, and we're about at the $6,000 budget range, and that's just parts. There's other repairs, tire replacements, so there is a possibility that we would have to delay doing either building maintenance repair or fleet repair if this is not passed tonight.
Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor. Mr. Jones.
I was just going to postpone.
Ms. Pagano.
No, I made the motion to postpone.
Yeah, there's.
And
Ms.
Timmy-
Pagano
and
makes a
Mr. Jones
motion
seconded.
to postpone Bill 9419, seconded by Mr. Jones. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
No.
Ayes have it. Bill number 9420.
Move for a second.
Councilman Pagano moves for a second, second by myself. Discussion. Mr. Jones.
Todd, I guess this would be for you. We all seen the fees per house for the backflow preventers, which just did help a lot of our residents out there. So this was a good thing.
Correct.
The only thing I didn't understand about it is the $300 fees for each one of these.
Those were video inspection fees.
Okay.
That MSD had video inspections done, and that's the fee that we charge as well, or reimburse is a $300 fee for
Okay.
video inspection.
Okay, that's it. I'm good with it.
I'll move for a third reading.
No, I need to read it. All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance authorizing appropriation of $210,910 from the sewer lateral fund to account number 04580500000, professional services, to fund the joint project between the city and a metropolitan sewer district for the installation of backup prevention devices for several residences.
I myself move for a third reading, second by Ms. Pagano. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance authorizing appropriation of $210,910 from the sewer lateral fund to account number 045805000, professional services, to fund the joint project between the city and the metropolitan sewer district for the installation of backup prevention devices for several residences.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Hearing none. Clerk, please.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Henke.
Yes.
Pagano.
Yes.
Parson.
Yes.
Siam. Harris. Jones.
Yes.
Okay, Bill 9420 becomes ordinance 8443. 8443. Mr. Jones.
Everybody on this bill that just passed. This was a very good thing. I thank all the council, the management, MSD. This did a lot of people's justice for leaking basements that keep on reoccurring and filling up. This was a very good thing of the management working with the council and MSD sitting down and getting things done. So when we do work as a team, we do get things done. So I want to thank everybody that sat down on this and participated in this.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Next item on the agenda is new business, board appointees. Mr. Siam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to reappoint Coron Brownell of 1440 Yearling to the Citizens Participation Committee.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Ms. Pagano.
I would like to reappoint John Martine to the Planning and Zoning Commission. To reappoint.
Sorry.
John Martine, reappoint.
Oh, okay. I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Harris.
Yeah, I would like to appoint Mr. Tim Lee to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is bills for the first reading. Bill number 9411.
Ordinance to authorize a special use permit to Knights of Columbus, Duchesne Council 2951, to allow for a digital sign face change in existing HR Historic Residential District for the property located at 50 Rue St. Francois.
Mr. Hinkie moves for a second reading.
Just for wording, you can use
This in here.
that.
Second by okay, that dies of a no second.
But it just, it needs to be postponed then.
I would just move it forward. We're trying to do 3 readings only because they came forward last meeting. There was some personal issues.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me turn your thing on. Go on, Ms. Hinkie.
Yeah, I was just going to move for 3 readings only because this was on last meetings, and it couldn't have moved forward last meeting, so I was going to try to make up for that by doing the 3 readings tonight. So I make a motion for a second reading.
There's a motion on the table for a second reading by Mr. Hinkie, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion. Oop, first is discussion.
Discussion first.
Discussion first.
Be sure to make sure the record reflects that Mr. Egan
Yes. Discussion. Mr. Egan.
I'm not participating. It was an accident.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay, so now you have a motion on the floor for a second reading. All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Ordinance
Ayes
to
have it.
authorize a special permit to Knights of Columbus, Duchesne Council 2951 to allow for a digital sign face in an existing HR historic residential district for the property located at 50 Rue St. Francois.
I move for a third.
Mr. Inky moves for a third reading. Second by Mr. Jones. Roll call?
Okay, Egan is abstain. Caputa?
Yes.
Shildroth is abstain. Hanky?
Yes.
Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Cyan? Yes. Harris? Yes. Jones?
Yes.
Ordinance to authorize a special permit to Knights of Columbus Duchesne Council 2951 to allow for a digital sign face change in the existing HR historic residential district for the property located at 50 Rue St. Francois.
Before the final vote is taken, does anyone in the audience like to speak on this bill? Seeing none. Clerk, please poll the council.
Caputa?
Yes.
Hanky?
Yes.
Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Cyan? Harris? Yes. Jones?
Yes.
Okay, Bill 9411 becomes ordinance 8445.
4-4.
8444. Next item is Bill 9424.
Ordinance authorizing an amendment to Chapter 125 Personnel, subsection 125 to 220 promotion list by removing the limit for officers to remain on the promotion list.
Make a motion for a second reading. Second by Mr. Egan. Discussion. Mr. Egan.
Just to let the community know what this is about in discussions with Chief Lowry. Currently, what this will allow is that once the officers take the test to qualify for promotion, they remain on the list and they're not compelled to have to continually test every couple of years when the list expires. It makes no sense that if you're qualified at age 30, you're not qualified at age 34. It just saves them from having to go through that process and eventually saves us in test time and such.
Thank you, Mr. Egan.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance authorizing an amendment to Chapter 125 Personnel, subsection 125 to 20 promotion list by removing the limit for officers to remain on the promotion list.
Mr. Egan makes a motion for a third reading. Second by myself. Roll call, please.
Hanky, sorry, Egan? Yes. Sorry. Caputa?
Yes.
Shildroth? Yes. Hanky? Yes. Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Cyan? Harris? Yes. Jones?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing an amendment to Chapter 125 Personnel, subsection 125-220 promotion list by removing the limit for officers to remain on the promotion list.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anybody in the audience like to speak on this matter? Seeing none. Clerk, please poll the council.
Egan? Yes. Caputa?
Yes.
Shildroth? Yes. Hanky?
Yes.
Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Cyan? Harris? Yes. Jones?
Yes.
Bill 9424 becomes ordinance 8445. Now it's 8445.
Now it's 8445. You're getting
Next item is Bill 9425.
Ordinance to issue an amendment to B5 ordinance number 8251 to HZ Props RE Limited DBA Popeyes to allow for changes in development plan in the existing B5 zoning district, including site and material changes for the property located at 955 North Highway 67.
Mr. Hinkie.
Yes. Mr. Hessel, did we, it seems like 2 days ago, did we already resolve this, amending this bill?
We need to amend it.
Before the next meeting. Okay, thank you.
Substitute.
So we will not call for a second tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkie. Bill number 9426.
Ordinance authorizing an appropriation of $27,000 from the Public Safety Fund, of which $20,000 appropriated to account number 17517260000 Utilities Court, and $7,000 is appropriated to account number 17517290000 Building Maintenance and Supplies Court to allow for to cover utilities and maintenance costs for the new court building and police annex.
Second for discussion purposes.
Councilman Egan moves for a second reading, second by myself. Discussion. Mr. Egan.
Thank you. Can this fund last 2 weeks? Will we keep the lights on and the toilets cleaned?
We can borrow from another department.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to postpone till the September 24th meeting.
Motion on the table to postpone bill number 9426. Seconded by Mr. Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is bill 9427.
Ordinance authorizing an appropriation of $40,000 from Public Safety Fund to account number 17517610000 capital additions to cover utility costs for the Municipal Court Division and Police Annex.
Second for discussion purposes.
Councilman Egan moves for a second, second by myself. Is there any discussion? Mr. Egan.
Yes. Can this fund last 2 weeks?
We're actually in a negative on the Public Works because the utilities were being taken out of Public Works, and they're actually utilities that were used for the construction of the building. So we are a negative right now in that line item. So to continue with utilities and Public Works, we'll continue to be increase in a negative budget balance.
Okay, very good. This public safety fund, is that from the municipal courts we gain on each ticket, or where is this money derived from?
No, this would be Prop P.
Prop
For the
P.
construction.
Right,
Of
okay.
yes.
So Kimberly, did you
So
say
it's public safety
Prop P is depleted, correct?
No, it's not. I don't have it on this sheet. Basically, there was money received in November of last year. I want to say around 400,000. And then there are
we have
3
money
funds that are being utilized for the court building, which is, I can remember them now, it's capital funds, the land, which is on the court building fund that was created, and then the public safety fund. So there are 3 funds being utilized for that construction. And my understanding was construction items were mainly coming out of the Prop P. So that's, when I say Prop P, the public safety fund. So I thought it appropriate that since these go with the construction of the building, that they stay within those expenses for accounting ability.
Ms. Pagano.
Yes, I just know the last appropriation we did for this court building, and the police department was here, Mr. Gerald was here, and we said, is there anything else you need? I mean, is there you're gonna need anything else until this building's done? And it was no, and they went high, I'm just saying. So with that, I know the police department had wanted the firing range, and they had the $400,000, and there was a few other items that were needed on that. So we approved that money, that $400,000, to go to that firing range and the completion of the court building. I don't know how they would have any money because, and we even stated, are you sure you're not going to need anything until the next budget? Because you're going to be depleted once we do this. And the answer was, we don't need any more. So where you found money, I have a problem because I know that we didn't have it.
When I investigated in this to understand where all the funds were coming from, there was the $424,000 that was appropriated to the capital improvements for the range and other items. There was $700,000 that was appropriated from the public safety fund. That increased the budget. And we still have the 400, I can't say for sure exactly how much it is. I'd have to, again, get with you on that because I wasn't prepared for the numbers on that. But I did do the math on it, and I did talk to the chief and Captain Bowden and made sure, because they also said we didn't think we had any funds. But when I added the numbers together and looked at what was, because I think he said 1.1 million, that wasn't all coming out of public safety. That's the 700 plus a 424. 424 was coming out of capital,
right, because
capital improvements.
At that time, we somehow found 400,000 that we didn't know we had.
From public safety?
Mm-hmm. And then we spent it. And so that's why I just don't know how we keep finding money in this account. And then I have another question. Is the courts going to be paying for any of this utility cost, or are we just going to take it all out of Prop P?
My understanding was Prop P. And I did talk to the judge to get an understanding of how, I've talked to the judge and the police chief to get an understanding on the consensus for that. And they both seemed to be fine with that, with the way funds were being spent elsewhere considerably on, not considerably, but especially with St. Louis County. And I think they were kind of looking at the St. Louis County and other municipalities. And I know, like, we're not other municipalities, but right. You know, you do kind of look at how they're using them, especially when you have a fund that's not real defined when it's put out, that these funds are to be used for public safety, what defines public safety. So I know there's a lot of things that really need to be defined, and that's something that we'll know in 5 years after
right.
People are continuing to use these. So I know it's a struggle when you're implementing something like this and it's not well defined.
Right, but I know that this council was very set that it would go for public safety and not be spent for anything else. And that's where I'm having the trouble. I'd like them to...
So court and police are not both for the public safety? But that's kind of where I was, my mentor is that it's court is considered public safety. I mean, you have to have the court to keep people in line, right? So, I mean, that's kind of where we're
right,
at.
And I understand, and everybody different. We've just had over the past few years, it's just, I guess, discussions and definitions and how money should go to one thing and it just happens to go to another because someone's perception was that it could, and that's not how. So that's pretty well why we have it all in a separate account, is in fear that it would go to something other than what it was projected for. So I'll let the other council members speak. I don't know, I see some lights going there.
Thank you, Ms. Pagano. Mr. Harris.
Thank you. So the court building is up and running, and the utility cost, it seems like they're higher than what we expected.
They weren't projected at all.
Oh, not at all. So
no,
it wasn't
they
even
weren't
included,
budgeted at all.
right? So it just got left
right.
out.
In
yeah.
addition to custodian and the building supplies, janitorial supplies.
So that's something that will have to be
not.
budgeted for the next year.
Yes.
Out of that. So, I mean, it's got to be paid for somehow. This cost for utilities to run the building. So, I'm fine with this.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, just because they weren't projected on this, I don't think we need to dip into Prop P. I don't think that's what this was voted on as far as pay utilities at the courthouse. That's just my opinion.
So why are construction costs coming out of the courthouse?
Well, we had to build it, we went through a bunch of that stuff, but just my vote would be no on it. I would not vote to do utilities. I mean, when does it stop? I mean, I think we gave the courthouse a big boost with Prop P. I think everybody was good with everything we did with it so far. But sooner or later, we're going to have to draw the line. And I think this is where we do it. It's just one vote, but that's the way my vote will go.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Egan.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kimberly, you're very good at finding money. Could you come into my bank account for me, please? Maybe turn myself up and find me a couple $1 million. You know, I'm actually okay with using Prop P funds for the Justice Center, certainly on the construction of it and the utilities that we incurred during the construction. I think it's proper. So I'll support this bill and would ask Mr. Hessel. I had initially made my second was for discussion purposes, but since this account is dead, I would like to move forward and see where it lies. How do I go about doing that when they're done discussion?
Nothing further you need to do.
Okay.
Ask the chair to call.
When you're done with discussion, Jeff, I'd ask for you to call for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Ms. Pagano.
Sorry, I just had one question. The $40,000, is this till November? I mean, till December 1st, or is this a monthly?
This is through charges that will be charged through November.
Until the next budget? So you're not
Yes.
foreseeing this as anymore once
And
the heat
this-
goes on or the...
This is through the next budget, then
Okay.
I'm sorry, state that again, the
All
40?
right. I'm
is that
just
what you're
asking,
saying?
the 40,000, you're projecting this till December 1st, or is
no.
this like this month?
No. This is for the construction. This is utilities used on the construction,
Construction site.
which is through August 31st, and the next bill will come in September, and I don't anticipate it being a full 40, but I used about 5,000 just as buffer in case something pops up that we didn't know about during construction. You never know.
Okay,
You
so
know, you
this
just
was
don't know how much is
construction
going to be
only?
used. That 40 is construction only.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinance, where are we at? Ordinance authorizing appropriation of $40,000 from Public Safety Fund to account number 17517610000, capital additions to cover utility costs for municipal court division and police annex.
Councilman Egan moves for a third reading, second by myself. Roll call, please.
Egan. Yes. Caputa.
Yes.
Shildroth. Yes. Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano.
Yes.
Parson.
Yes.
Siam. Harris. Jones.
Yes.
Ordinance authorizing appropriation of $40,000 from Public Safety Fund to account number 17517610000, capital additions to cover utility costs for municipal court division and police annex.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience like to speak on this bill?
Me again, Don Adams. I'm curious, you build a building, first off, and you're not going to figure in any utilities in the cost of this building? You're not going to figure in, let's leave later, it's empty. You're not going to figure in no toilet paper, no floor wax, no mops? I can't comprehend this. And the second part of the question is, what happened to, or how much were we paying Coke, or the Coke Park, when we had court up there? What happened to all that? Did that money offset some of this money here? I can't understand. All of a sudden, poof, that money went away, and now we got money here, and we built the building, and we don't have no toilet paper, no mops, no light bulbs. I got some candles and kerosene lanterns if you need them. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier, and I don't mean to offend any of you, so please don't think I am, okay? It's just the fact I'm fighting to stay here in Florissant, and this kind of stuff makes it very, very hard. And I think I'll only be up here one more time, so I won't bother you no more.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Roll call.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Shildroth. Yes. Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano.
Yes.
Parson.
Yes.
Cyan. Harris. Jones.
Bill 9427 becomes ordinance 8446. Bill 9428.
Ordinance authorizing a transfer of $200,000 from account number 4910000, police salaries, to account number 4010000, administration salaries, and a transfer of $200,000 from account number 4913000, police benefits, to cover various administrative salaries and expenses through the end of the fiscal year.
Bill number 9429.
Ordinance authorizing a transfer of $42,000 from account number 4510000, playground salaries, to account number 361000, IT salaries, and $6,000 from account number 4513000, playground benefits, to account numbers 361000, IT salaries, and 361300, IT benefits, to cover IT salaries and benefits through the end of the fiscal year.
Bill number 9430.
Ordinance authorizing a transfer of $10,000 from account number 46100. I think there's another zero on there, to account number 3632000, office supplies and software, for the purchase of timekeeping software and interface.
I move for a second reading. Second by Mr. Egan. Any discussion? Mr. Harris.
Okay, I had a question about one of the other ones, but I'll ask that later, so you can turn me off there. Thank you.
You good?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed?
Ordinance authorizing a transfer of $10,000 from account number 46100 to account number 3632000, office supplies and software, for the purchase of timekeeping software and interface.
Mr. Jones moves for a third reading, second by myself. Roll call, please.
Egan. Yes. Caputa.
Yes.
Shildroth. Yes. Hanky. Yes. Pagano. Parson. Cyan. Harris. Jones. Ordinance authorizing a transfer of $10,000 from account number 46100 to account number 3623200, office supplies and software, for the purchase of timekeeping software and interface.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone on the audience that'd like to speak? Hearing none. Clerk, please poll the council.
Egan. Yes. Caputa.
Yes.
Shildroth. Yes. Hanky. Yes. Pagano. Yes. Parson. Yes. Cyan. Harris. Yes. Jones.
Bill 9430 becomes ordinance 8447. Yes, Mr. Jones.
Hessel, to get an explanation on this bill to the residents? No, before that, John. I should have did it before, but my button was pressed. Is it all right that she...
Yeah, I think for that, I can have Steve explain the software and how
please.
It's going to benefit the city.
Correct. Just so the residents know where this money's going and a little bit better explanation.
And if you all would keep in mind, this is $10,000 for this software and all it can do this year.
Steve Weiersmuller, IT Director. This software was implemented at the police department about 2 years ago, and we've seen a dramatic decrease in the amount of time it takes for us to calculate all of our schedules, vacation, sick time, comp time, and in becoming the IT Director and seeing how everyone else in the city is doing it and working with Kimberly Johnson, we really want to put this to the rest of the city so that every other department and every other clerk that manually calculates payroll and paid time off and sick time can reap the benefits of this. We believe it's going to dramatically decrease the amount of time every 2 weeks it takes for our employees to calculate. The finance department will be able to audit timekeeping from any department, and we will be able to directly import everyone's time into our financial software. So we'll save time with our employees in calculating everyone's time, and then we'll also save time when they send it to finance, because it will automatically be imported once each department head signs off on it. So it should save us a tremendous amount of time, as well as give finance the ability to audit timekeeping whenever they need to.
Yeah, I remember when Ms. Johnson was talking about this, I think at our work session, am I correct? So when I seen this on the agenda, I was glad to see that, because I know you were saying that, how well this performs as software and what the benefits were for it, so I'm glad it.
It's also a tremendous benefit to all the employees. They can manage their time, their schedules, their time off from their phones or their home computers or their work computers. There's never any gray area as to when am I off, when am I working. They can communicate with their supervisors. Everything is documented in the cloud. And what we've seen is when you do need to pull somebody's time or see what they've worked over the last year, it's as simple as printing a report. You don't have to go through files and files and files.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Steve, you're doing a great job. It's good to see you pushing for the future stuff, and that was a big one I think that stuck out to us council. That's why I wanted an explanation to go out to the residents that we are making some jumps ahead. We're not just sitting on our duffs. Kimberly, I would want to thank you so much for working with us all tonight, taking some of our tough questions. We do get flustered once in a while. We don't mean them toward you personally. And can you keep coming up with that money like you're doing it? It would be great. But look forward to working with you in the budget coming up. But thanks for having patience with us also.
No problem.
Yes, thank you, Kimberly. Did a hell of a job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is council announcements. Mr. Harris.
Yesterday, my daughter and I attended the production Newsies at the Florissant Civic Center Theater by the Next Generation Theater Company, and the performance was outstanding, and I just wanted to encourage everyone to look up the upcoming performances at the theater. October 20th, it's a Saturday, it's a little ways away, but we're planning to have another litter pickup day along Malamphy Lane between 9 and 11, and we'll meet at Malamphy Gardens Shopping Center. And also I want to encourage everybody again to join the Neighborhood Watch. You could just Google Florissant Neighborhood Watch, and the first result in the search will be the sign-up form. It only takes a couple minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Jones.
Give a shout out to team like I always do, you guys. There's always somebody hungry morning, noon, or night. Please keep them in your thoughts. Some extra change in the car, working a little overtime. Do the right thing. Make a stop down there once in a while, you guys. I always go down there and bring either cash or canned goods or both down and check on them. I will be pressing on our new businesses that come into our city about team. But like I said, please keep them in mind. Also, our trash thing that we're working on right now, you're not going to hear me let go of this, just like I beat on team all the time, you guys. We're going to go after this trash in the city. The mayor has met with me in his office a couple times now. We're reaching out to some of the other newspapers. The mayor is jumping in with both feet on this. And like I said, we're going to try to make a difference with this trash. We're going to try some new stuff. But this thing's not going to die out. You guys are going to hear me beating on this as long as I'm councilman up here about we do have a trash problem in this city. And if everybody would just do a little bit of picking up, I don't think it's going to hurt. I think the more we get involved, people speak in numbers, it'll help our city clean up, you guys. We do still have some construction going in Ward 2. Me and Mr. Caputa spoke about this the other day, about sitting down and looking at some of the ordinances and rules that are made up on the construction. It starts 7 or 8 in the morning and you're walking out your house and they're jackhammering and they don't know about it. We're going to look at that to see if some changes need to be made or not. You know, we have a lot of ordinances were put together years and years ago, and we need to sit down sometimes and look at some of these and look at the ones we need to enforce or change. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Egan.
October 20th is the Race to the Shrine Day. That's going to be a day where they start off very early in the morning with the Chamber of Commerce having a kickball tournament down at the Knights Ground. We have the Race to the Shrine at 4 o'clock, which is all fitness levels and all age groups, especially the running of the tots, which happens at 3:45, running of the 5-year-olds. And then we follow up the evening with the Bob Cuban Band. Bob Cuban Band will play a concert, free concert. It'll be the last of our concert series concerts. Secondly, the very next day, October 21st, is the Valley of Flowers fundraiser at Hendel's. It's $75 a ticket, and that includes a 3-course dinner, and the proceeds from that benefit the Valley of Flowers Committee. And lastly, I got some good news tonight. I got a phone call that they're about ready to break ground on Dunkin' Donut down in Ward number 3. They had originally planned on using out-of-town construction people, and they've changed their mind. They're going to use local tradesmen, and people from our own community will be building this project. I'm very excited about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Mr. Shuldroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to congratulate Helfer's Pastries on St. Ferdinand. They're going to be celebrating their 41st anniversary. Tuesday, September 18th through Saturday the 22nd. They'll be giving away birthday cake and gift certificates daily. Register there at the store to get those. They also are having a competition on the 22nd, a cupcake decorating competition, and I encourage everybody to go by there. It's a great business. It's been here 41 years. And it's about that time of the year again, the Fall Festival on October 14th. Click Heating and Cooling will be hosting the annual chili cook-off. Don't even think about it. And I will be, once again, having an entry, and I encourage other people on this council to get involved. And I look forward to a healthy competition again. Thank you.
I thought we were going to cancel that dish. No? Okay.
Let's keep the chief out and we'll be fine.
Mr. Hinkie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to piggyback on what Mr. Jones said a little bit earlier. I noticed a buzz throughout the whole council on this whole trash issue and littering. It's getting a life of its own, as it should. A lot of it's on education. People have got to understand what's going on. I never could, if you stop for a minute and think about this, why do we have to have good citizens adopt highways to look after bad citizens? It makes no sense to me. Why don't we just all adopt the highway but not throwing our stuff out in the first place? But I digress. The trash issue is going to become big, and Timmy, I hope we're 100%, and the rest of the council that's been on all over it. The Knights of Columbus, I mean, not the Knights of Columbus, the VFW post right down the street is having a 9/11 memorial anniversary service, if you will, tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, right down the street here on St. Francis for the 9/11 ceremony. It'll be a nice ceremony. They do good every year. And on a personal note, I want to ask one thing. Some of you may or may not know. Barb and I's youngest grandson, Lucas Hesselbach, has had some serious issues since he's been born. He's gone through several operations already in several months. They're having a benefit for him this coming Friday, September the 14th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., and it'll be a chicken dinner from 5 until 7. It's in Wentzville. It's at 2061 Growth, Grothe, Groth, and maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, Road, in Wentzville. It's a Knights of Columbus. That's 2061 Growth Road, and it's a fundraiser for baby Lucas at Knights of Columbus. It's $10 chicken dinner, and it'll be basket raffles and 50-50. If you can, in your hearts, if you can make it, I appreciate it. If you need any further information, please give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkie. Yes, like I always say every council meeting, if you're a firearm owner, make sure you secure your firearm. Don't leave it in your vehicle unsecured. Make sure you keep it in your home secured. Make sure you join your Neighborhood Watch program. City's got a great Neighborhood Watch program. Let's keep it up. Leave your front porch lights on. Great deterrent for crime. Lights, some of the best deterrent for crime. Also, September 22nd At St. Ferdinand Park, they're having the suicide prevention awareness fundraiser. There's a glow run softball tournament, so it's a very good event. You can go to the city website to get more information on it. Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to suggest that we have a table at the Fall Festival for the anti-litter campaign, and I hope the council could embrace that idea, maybe along with the EQC. Andy Quinones is trying to coordinate that, so if we could, we still don't have a name or a theme for it, but maybe we could have some kind of a contest. And I don't mean for this to be like a one and done or just a temporary campaign. It's my suggestion that this go from the Fall Festival to the Valley of Flowers and just really try to make a difference in curbing litter and trying to get people to have better manners. And the business, I mentioned it to Chamber of Commerce, they're interested in it, and Bob Lindsay from the Independent News is interested in promoting it. And so, I haven't met anybody that's not excited about making some progress on this campaign. And I appreciate Mr. Jones for coming in and getting all excited about it and got me excited. And then another group that gets excited is Complete Auto Body. They have the biggest golf tournament that we host each year other than for police benefits. But this is for emergency responders and backstoppers, so it falls in that same category. But this is the biggest one-round tournament. We have some tournaments that are split in morning and afternoon sessions, but this is the biggest tournament we have, which is in the biggest 18-hole tournament. Jackie Smith, former football Cardinal, was there to sing Danny Boy, a very touching rendition in honor of all those who have lost their lives. Mr. Henke has already mentioned we got 9/11 tomorrow. Please come out. It's this very patriotic, faith-based community, and we always have a great turnout. A lot of communities have stopped doing their 9/11 remembrance, but it's still very close to our heart. This Thursday, we're going to have the senior town hall meeting at the Egan Center from 9 to 11. And on the 22nd, we have the suicide prevention fundraiser. That's going to be a glow run at 7:15 p.m. at St. Ferdinand Park on 9/22. We have a public hearing at the next council meeting on the Community Development Block Grant Program, and that's the money we get from the federal government. We use most of it for home improvements for people that qualify. It's an income qualification. On September 26th, right in front of City Hall, right at the end of the sidewalk, we're going to install a plaque to honor the late Bob Lowry Sr., who gave us 50 years of his life serving the city, both as a police officer, as chief of police, and as mayor. Always our biggest cheerleader. Congratulations to Narrow Gauge Railroad. They're celebrating on October 7th. They're celebrating 140th birthday bash for the train station. Yeah, that's right, train station. And today I was in Columbia with the mayors of Jefferson City, Branson, and Springfield. We were on a panel to talk about safety, highway safety. Especially, we're very concerned about distracted driving with cell phones, and also we want legislation to make illegal to use a cell phone for texting, and also to make it seatbelts mandatory. So it's buckle up, phones down. But we had a big crowd there that were there for a conference, and they asked us to participate in a panel discussion. We also had the director of the MoDOT, Mr. McKenna, was there, and we talked a little bit also about safermo.com. That's the campaign for Prop D, and how important that is, not only for the construction of existing infrastructure, but also MoDOT is very proactive in installing safer devices to make our everyday travel safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next regular meeting for the City Council will be Monday, September 24th, 2018, 7:30 p.m. Mr. Jones moves to adjourn regular meeting, second by Mr. Siam. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.